When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gain, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gain.
And our topic for this week is going to be about how to deepen your manifesting.
Yes.
I mean, it can be a very broad topic, but we're going to specify it a little bit more as we get into it. We've had some stuff come up with clients, and we're excited that this might also help you too.
Absolutely. But first, Jenny, what are you excited about?
I'm really excited about a couple things. One is The Lion King.
Yay!
Two, because I love the movie, but also I was just around the house this morning. I was in the shower and I'm singing to the soundtrack, and it just makes me so happy. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited about the new early birthday present that arrived at our door, and it's a few weeks early, but Lisa said she was going to give it to me early anyways. So I got some new noise canceling headphones, and I was so stoked. But it was kind of one of those situations where I'm like, oh man, I got the package and I know this is for me, and I really hope that this is okay. But it was awesome.
That is awesome. I love that you're starting your birthday celebration in July.
Oh yeah. It's a whole month, Cass, around our birthdays.
Yeah.
What are you excited about?
I'm excited about moving. I think I was excited about that last week, but I am so excited about moving. So literally tomorrow, we get the keys to our house, and me and my love.
Yes, you and your love.
I know.
Which we haven't even talked about yet.
We have not talked about it yet. And
we should just probably do a whole separate episode on falling in love.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll come. You know, the thing I think to remember about Jenny and I is we don't necessarily have partners that wanted to be in the limelight, or we're thought. Did I ever tell you when Lisa asked me, she was like, "Are you going to talk about everything that happens in our relationship on the podcast?" And I was like, "Yes." I love that you were just like, "Yes." I'm not even going to say some things, not everything's up for grabs.
She's like, okay.
Right? Yeah, agreed. Me too. I'm like, yep, it's all, I can't say.
I'm like, there's so much good lessons. There's so many learning things.
Right, I know. And it's how you learn and grow. And for both of us has been really one of the biggest growth things in our life, right?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so exciting.
So you get the keys tomorrow.
Get the keys tomorrow. I was thinking about something else exciting, and I was like, anyway, about something that's coming up for our listeners that they would love. But we will tell you guys about that in another episode. Yeah, I get the keys tomorrow. We get the keys tomorrow. So excited. It's such a future self house, I didn't know whether I'd be living here for a year or less than a year or 10 years, right? In the current house. But I knew it was like a bridge house, a bridge condo. And so it just feels so good to be stepping into a future self house, and one that is gonna be for a while. Right? Because I've definitely, moving to the Four Seasons was future self house, but I knew it was a moment. It was a moment. It was about practicing. It was about being that person. And I knew what I went in, I wasn't staying there long term just because that wasn't the plan. That was just part of the path, And we're going to be there for a while, and that's awesome. And it's exciting. And there's this whole new energy. And I was telling you before, I'll probably write an email about this too, but, normally I tend to get rid of stuff all the time because I'm always asking, is it my future self? But even before you move, which I'm going to actually give myself credit for too, is I didn't have a lot to get rid of because I've done that in my whole life. Like
right.
It used to
year
take
after
me
year
months.
after year.
Yeah, it used to take me months to get rid of stuff. Like when I moved downtown to such a small space, like it was months. But so I'm also celebrating that I don't have like a ton of stuff that I've been carrying around that's no longer me, my current self, or my future self. And as I've looked at stuff, it's like I have to take it all. It's super interesting. It's a new experience. Is like I'll look at something and I'm like, is this my future self? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like I have to take it into this space. And then
I love that
it's
too.
Gonna fit.
Yeah, because you're waiting for it to feel the experience versus trying to think if it's going to fit. So it's a whole different level.
And I'm excited about that because I think there are things, as we'll keep following up with the story, I know there's going to be things that maybe I would have gotten rid of because they didn't feel like they fit this space. You know, like if I was just doing the thinking thing. But as I take them in, to the new space, I'll be able to see where they fit, whereas I might have like gotten rid of them and not given them the opportunity to be in the future, and they do belong in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
so cool.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that it's a new experience. You're like, there's a different feeling with this going forward.
Yes.
The past couple places have been like, I know it's part of it, I know it's right, but it's not that more permanent thing, and this has that sense to it.
Yes. Ooh, we're going to do a whole episode on the house, and I'm going to make a note because we should definitely talk about like knowing something's right. And then also knowing it's more permanent. It's going to be there longer. And those don't have to be the same. Like just because something is right doesn't mean it has to be there for a long time. And
I hate to say this, but that's what I experience in relationships. Oh, boy.
So fun. Oh, my gosh. Can I just tell them we're going to do a whole relationship? It's an extra thing.
Yes, a whole series.
A whole series. It'll be an investment because we want to keep it intimate, and that's the way we've found to keep it a little bit intimate. But Ginny and I are going to share our whole first love, first everything all the way through, and all the manifesting and all the lessons and all of it. So that's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
All right. Will you introduce our topic for today? Like further?
I will. Yeah. And I just want to remind everyone that we have an event coming up September 27th in Denver from 4 to 6. You can come hang out with us for 2 hours. If you've ever wanted like a live version of a podcast where you get to ask the questions, that's pretty much what it is. You get to be with Manifest It Now Tribe. Jenny and I are there, and you get to ask your questions. You can ask us to follow up on anything, clarity, be more specific. And you can go to manifestitnowlive.com to register and come to that event.
Awesome. And most importantly, to feel the vibe there. That's like one of the biggest takeaways.
That is one of the biggest takeaways. To just be in that live presence, it's amazing. Yes. All right. So our topic, how to take your manifesting deeper. And I know this is what we're all looking for, because as humans, we came here to be human beings, right? Spirits that came here to be and experience being human. And when our souls are really connected to that, and I think at certain points some people become disconnected to that, but once you've started the process of being connected back to like, I'm in it for the human experience and being a human being, you start to crave depth. And you crave it in a way, and it's true with manifesting too. So you're craving like this depth of manifesting and of experience and of all these things, and so it's natural, and that's what happens. And so a lot of people are looking for, how do I take my manifesting deeper? How do I feel it deeper? How do I take that experience deeper? And so we're going to talk about that today, because it's an evolution, and like with many things, there's no shortcut to doing that. And I think unknowingly, a lot of people, they're not trying to take a shortcut. It's not even like we know that, but we're trying to get that depth, but we don't know what we're doing or how to actually get it.
Yeah. And we're trying to get it done. We're trying to like complete something.
Yes.
But this part, that the true fulfillment comes from it's so cliche to say that, the joy is in the journey, but it comes from being in the journey.
Yeah. So do we want to give that as number one? If you want to take your manifesting deeper, you have to let go of it'll ever be done.
Right.
And you really
let go
have
of trying to get to the end.
Yeah.
And I think just to preface that, what this looks like in your life is when you're saying, anytime we want more, you're likely asking for deeper versus more number, plenitude, quantity. You generally are actually wanting depth. And I hear it a lot when people come and they say like, my life's good, but I don't feel like connected to it, or it's fine, but I should be having a different reaction than I am. Like when I have a birthday party, it's great, it's fun, but ... it's not that feeling that you think it should be. And what's missing is the depth. So first thing first, instead of go ahead.
I was just going to say, can I give the money example of what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really everyone wants more money, right? It's like more money to get this thing, more money to do this, more money to make that feel more fun. And that is a lot. It's the same thing. You're actually looking for the depth. Most people, and I say this a lot, once you, they've done studies, right? So I think the highest is like 75,000. Depending on where you live, your happiness doesn't increase with your income. But yet, a lot of people will search for more money because they think that's what's going to do that. But what you're really looking for is that depth of experience in life that we're talking about versus more money.
Yes. And the money is just like you defining, oh, yeah, that's how I get it. People with more money have more fun.
Right.
Okay. So the first part is going to be having that, or acknowledging that it's not about getting somewhere. It's not about getting to that final point. It's about how you're being and how you're living along the way there. And I'm sure I've used this example before, but Abraham uses it all the time about you don't take a vacation just to get to the end destiny because you end up in the same place as you started, which is at home. You take it so you have that week or whatever experience. So because you want the experience, because you want to be in that week. And that's the same thing with all of this. We want to be here. We want to be in our days. We don't just want to get to the weekend. We don't just want to get to this age or get to when our kids are grown or get to when we have kids. We don't want to just get to when we are retired. We don't want to get to, this amount of money. It's not about getting places. It's about experiencing the path along the way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's about the experience. And the more that really is part of how you take the depth. So it's letting go of getting there and simultaneously knowing that's where you want to be, that being more in the experience is how you get deeper in your manifesting.
Yep.
In every moment. Like I love that you said the weekends, right? So because it's not just, we're not saying just let go of getting there in your manifesting, like, this is the end point. I'm trying to get there really fast. But that's with everything, right? Don't try to get to the end of your Tuesday. Don't be focused on the weekend and trying to get through the week. It's in every aspect.
Yeah. I even do this sometimes. Like if I have a busy day, I'll be like, oh, I just want to get to the end of that. And I'm like, whoa. And then, but I catch it and come back and be like, and in an instant, after practice with this, in an instant, I can tune in right away to like, oh, the feeling of a perfectly unfolding day. And the switch in your mindset is a huge part of that, is not thinking about getting to the end, but thinking about what's happening right now. And right. Everything just like relaxes as soon as you bring your focus and attention to what you're doing right now.
Yes. Yeah. When you're focused on it, it's so juicy. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what brings the depth, right? Because the depth really, in a lot of ways, is present. In most instances, we could replace depth with being more present.
Totally.
You know, because the more present you are, the deeper you feel, the deeper you experience, the more, it's that more, like when we're wanting more, what we actually, like we want to take in more, because our brains can only take in a certain amount of information, and that information is less, it declines with the less present we are. But the more present we are, the more we can take in, the more we can absorb, the more we can enjoy, the more experience seeps into our soul.
Yeah. And when you're present, it's generally meaning everything that's going on in your head. So your focus and your attention is on about what's going on in your now moments, or somewhat directly in front of you, or your next 5 minutes or whatever. So you're more of your attention is focused on right now. And so you have more room to experience more of each of these moments. Because if your head's off in the future or the past, or thinking about what you're going to do, or getting to the end of the day or whatever, you're literally not able to fully experience a moment. And because you're having another reality in your head. So your body is experiencing one moment and your head is experiencing another moment. There's no connection there. And so you can't have a full experience because you're not connected.
Yeah.
I've never really described it like that, but
I know. I was
makes
like, that
sense.
is amazing. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, and I think too, when you make that, you're bringing those two into alignment. So like your head and your physical body, or your kind of feeling perspective, that's alignment. Like you're lining up, and that's like your channels are open to feel all that goodness from beyond this world, beyond the physicalness. And you're opening those channels, and that gives you that depth of feeling.
Right. And it's your physical body, so it's your mental, your physical body, but also your heart and soul then that are in that moment. Right?
Yes, that's the real juice, guys.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're when you have that craving, that's what you want. You want more of that. Yeah.
Another way I like to describe the depth too is is getting more in your feeling body. Is feeling more. That is, very simply, when we want more, we want to feel more.
Yes.
So in order to feel more, we need to get out of our head. And we need to practice being in our feeling state body, that vibrational stuff, and paying attention to that. And this process just starts by practicing that when you do. Like if you're listening to this show and you're like, okay, how do I do, but how, guys, how do I do that?
Right.
And it's like we're giving you everything we know in terms of describing the process, but you actually have to just have this experience in your life, which is like saying, I'm in this moment and I'm going to bring my awareness to my body. I'm going to feel right now and see what I feel. And that's it. Then you're doing it. Then you're starting it. Then you're in that moment practicing it. And your journey and your path will expand from there in terms of the path, the how for you. Does that make sense, Cass?
Yeah. And I think that was the perfect transition. It was funny. My next point was going to be like, okay, let's go into the how. And you gave this perfect description, and we're going to go more into it. But it's to become more aware, and then the depth can come and follow that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to think I was really aware. But the other point about this depth thing is it just keeps getting more and more.
Yes.
There's always more levels of awareness. I'm like, oh yeah, I know how I feel. I knew my intention with that. And then you stop, and then something else happens in your life. Then it's 2 years later and you're like, oh yeah, on a deeper level, I was actually feeling this and I wasn't aware of that level.
And I think that's one of the ways or you see, you can acknowledge that you are getting that depth. Like if you feel like I'm still reaching for more, you want to tune in and see, like, am I getting this deeper feeling? And if not, we'll talk about why that might be. But for both of us, like, as we practice, like, I can definitely look back. And even in in moment today from a year ago, I'm like, oh, I can feel this so much deeper. I'm so much more aware.
Oh,
I'm just
cool.
so much more excited. I'm like, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't feel like you're getting more depth, you feel like it's the same surface stuff and you're still craving that depth, there's some reasons. And so should we talk about those?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the first one is that I see all the time is that you're going and you're seeking something else to do. So that depth comes from experience, as we've said. It comes from becoming more present. It comes from being more aware. It comes from, and it comes in waves. Like it is a process. So that is one of the things I wanted to say is that you can't go from, one of my clients, she said it amazing yesterday in an interview that we did. And she said, I was so numb that all of the things were just sort of waking me up. And then there was a lot of pain. And then I had to feel the pain. And then I got to feel the other stuff. But you have to come, a lot of people I would say are numb. Like I would just describe a lot of people is having some sort of numbness because we're trained out of our emotions. So there's no other way to be like, it's not your fault. It's just kind of probably what happened. So as you come out, there's a sequence as you come out of the numbness and feeling more. And so there is a process, and the process happens like when you keep going deeper in your own work, when you keep doing the work. So one of the things I see people get off track is that they get a book, they do a couple things, and then they get another book. Like they're reading a book a month. Like there's no way you can implement someone's teachings on this stuff in a month.
On like personal growth, depth, all of that work.
Yeah, like that personal growth, like the personal growth and depth takes time, and it takes time doing the same things over. It takes, if you're going to pick a book, like I always say this, if you pick one book at the beginning of the year and read it every month, because you are going to change. And as you implement everything, as you change and you go back and you read that book again, you're going to see it different because you're different.
Yeah.
And that's how
it's such a cool point. And that also, if you use that process, gives you evidence of your shifts. So if you guys caught what Cassie said, you're going to read a book one time and you're going to get something from it and apply it. And if you stick with that process and practicing and implementing that, and the next time you read that book and you're going to notice something different. Anytime you notice something different, it means you're being a new person. Like anytime you have a new like aha or inspiration or, oh, I didn't get that. It means, oh, I'm growing. I'm at a new level. I'm understanding this in a different way than I did before. And I'm going deeper, which is awesome because sometimes this stuff is pretty abstract to say, am I getting it?
Right? Yeah. And a great example, had a Future Self workshop this weekend, and the Future Self work, like they vary a little bit in some of the exercises that we do, but the teachings are all the same. They are majority the same. They're 90 to 95% the same. But every time one of my clients shows up to that Future Self workshop, they are different. And so
yeah, that's cool.
They hear me differently. So much so that I love this example. One of my clients, a couple actually were like, oh, I have this, there's this way that I teach scripting and in the gratitude process. And they're like, oh my gosh, that way is a game changer. That is a game changer. Like, I am so glad I learned that. And, they're so excited about that. And they're going to laugh when they're listening to the show and hear this. They it's so awesome. And they're wanting to tell everyone else in the group. And I said, I taught you that the first time. You just didn't get it.
You've been learning this every time.
Just couldn't hear it.
Oh, I love that example.
And it's so fun. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, we could even go back and look. It's written on the sheet that we look. We could look and literally you could see it. And yet you weren't ready. And as a coach, that took me a little bit to understand. Like once I realized that was a game, like for me, that came down the process. And then I wanted to teach all my clients, right? And I would, I would remind them and I would say, okay, you got to do it like, and do this and do this. And what I realized finally as a coach in my own is like, No, let them be where they are. And when they're ready to see that, they will, which is exactly what happens. And it's so fun. Like, it's just fun because it's like, no way, that was there before. I'm like, yeah, but you had to go through this part of the process. You had to experience this before you could get that even deeper part.
Yeah. And everybody moves through that process at different paces and in different ways. And so that's why it's tricky when someone out there is saying this is the right way to do it, and to try to move through that process without honoring your own inner guidance first or along the way, it gets sticky. So just remembering that we all move through that in our own ways, because we're all here to be individuals.
We are.
So part of what that was bringing up when Cass was talking about that is this idea that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, it's the same for each of us on our journeys, is when the student is ready. So whenever we're ready, we're going to hear that whatever message is next, whatever lesson is next. And so that is why you can trust everything that is coming into your life. Okay. So it's not going to come in unless you are ready for it. And sometimes we've talked about this before, but we jump right in on, why is this happening? Or how did I do this? But it's like, oh, there's something here for me. I'm ready for something new. If I'm having a new level of experience or a new experience, I'm ready for this on some way. And approaching it like that is going to be helpful to moving through it.
Yeah. I just thought of another great depth example that happened with one of my clients this week. So it was actually probably last week. She was saying something, and we were coaching on a really big deal that she had. And I said, but it wasn't as big as she wanted, right? And so we're coaching through that. And I said, you have to celebrate that, like, just like you did a penny in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
When we practice, like, celebrating and honoring that, like that, it just gets bigger, right? So in the beginning of, like, when you're working with me, like, it starts with a penny, and then we just keep adding, and the depth, it just keeps growing, and we keep getting bigger and bigger in that other way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Deeper.
Yeah. Deeper. Yes. Because and that is the deeper experience, right? But you have to open up, and you have to do all these experiences once to come back and do it deeper, And
gradually.
It's like an obstacle course just popped into my mind, right? If you went up to an obstacle course, like, the first time you're like getting to know it. And the second time you're like, oh, okay, but if I swing from the monkey bars and, like, get a bigger jump, I'll be, like, faster or whatever, and, or I'll do this way. Like, you start, that's more action, but it's the same thing. It's every time you do it, it gets deeper, and the experience gets different.
Yes. I like that. And I like, this brings it back kind of to where we started talking in terms of, we never get to, like, an end point. So all of this growth and all of these processes that you're going through in stages or whatever in your growth, it isn't a line, it isn't a ladder, and it doesn't have a beginning and an end. It is 100% like a circle, and it just keeps going. And every time you go through that experience, you're a different person going through it. So you're having a different level of experience.
Yes.
I kind of think of a tornado. So if you start at the top and then you're going around and around and you go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like a spiral. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you describe it as the top or the bottom?
I was trying to think that, because, like, I wanted to, the down was the depth, but you're going up in your your life experience. In your life experience, you definitely go up.
Yeah. And that's why most people don't know this, because it's unnecessary on most things, but my business really is spiral up. And so,
yes. Yeah.
It's every time you go around, it gets bigger and more expansive and deeper, which is interesting, because it's like, it is bigger, but it gets deeper. Every time you do something and you go through this process.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful way to look at it. Is starting at the bottom of that spiral and then going up and up and around, and have fun along that. Just pretend you're getting thrown around in a tornado and you're like, wee. I personally love tornadoes. I've never experienced them like in real life, but I loved the movie Twister. So
yeah.
What a great place to end.
Right?
Is there anything else, Cass, you want to wrap up with to kind of summarize the concept of going deeper?
Just, it's about, a lot of times it's about doing the same thing again and again because you are different doing it.
Mm-hmm. It's super powerful just because sometimes we're like, oh, I'm here again. And it's like, right. Yeah, but you're here in you're a whole different person. You're a whole different vibration. Yeah. And you get to go through this in a whole different way.
Yeah, you're here again.
Yeah, yay. You're here again. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. All right, everybody, have a great week. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Go be awesome. Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.